I don't think so. Okay, that is much better.
There is no denying the Apple Watch has changed a lot over the years. There have been some bigger updates, there have been some smaller ones, but year over year, all of these updates kind of combined together have made the Apple Watch this sort of must-have accessory that you just gotta pair with your next iPhone to make your life a little bit easier. But this year is a little bit different. When you look at the new Apple Watch lineup for 2020, specifically the Apple Watch Series 6 and the Apple Watch SE, there is a question that desperately needs answering. If you were to buy a new Apple Watch right now in 2020, or you're upgrading from a Series 5, a Series 4, or an older model, which one should you go with? The new flashy premium Series 6, or save some money and go with the SE? The answer is actually easier than you may think. Let me explain. First things first, I think we can all agree that the jump from the Series 5 to the Series 6 is one of the smallest, if not the smallest, year-over-year change we've seen to the Apple Watch. There was no big redesign, there is no beautiful circular display like the rumors and leaks may have suggested at one point. We just got a couple of core key features that make the Series 6 a little bit better than the Series 5, but you also have to remember that a lot of people aren't buying new Apple Watches every year, except for the enthusiasts. So the change from the Series 6 to the Series 5 might not be a big one, but if you had a Series 4, or even more than that, a Series 3, a Series 2, or the original Apple Watch, the Series 6 is quite a big upgrade. So right off the bat, what is brand new with the Series 6 that's gonna make it worth picking up for the first time or upgrading from a previous generation Apple Watch? Right on the surface, not a whole lot has changed. We didn't get a new bigger screen or a bigger battery, but we did get some new color options that look very, very beautiful. Besides the silver, space gray, and gold color options we've had on the Apple Watch for a number of years now, the aluminum Series 6 also comes in two new colors. A super sleek blue color, which kind of looks like the rumored deep sea blue color option we're expecting with the iPhone 12, but that's for a separate video. And also this super sleek looking product red version that looks absolutely stunning. Apple also did some tweaks to the stainless steel finish. They added a new higher end graphite color, but like most years, the big changes with this Apple Watch are really under the display, in the guts and in the internals. The Series 6 is running off of the appropriately named S6 system in package, which Apple says is gonna give you about a 20% performance boost over last year's S5. But the big story with the Series 6 is this new blood oxygen monitor built right into the watch, which adds a new layer of vitals that the Apple Watch is able to capture right on your wrist, which is super cool. And of course, this is no surprise. Apple has been targeting the Apple Watch more and more over the last couple of years as this fitness, wellness, this real big health device. And this new blood oxygen monitor just adds a new layer to the vitals that the Apple Watch is able to capture. It's got a built-in heart rate sensor. We got the ability to take an ECG right on our wrist with the Series 4. It's got the built-in fall detection. watchOS 7 introduces new sleep tracking. And now with the Series 6, we can take a blood oxygen reading within 15 seconds right from this little device on our wrist. And if you're like me a little curious as to why this was so important, I'll tell you in my research that health experts really do see blood oxygen as another important vital sign for the body. And as the name suggests, this metric basically tells you how much oxygen your blood is currently carrying. But if you do have low blood oxygen, you are gonna see signs like shortness of breath, rapid breathing, headache, and other things. So it is kind of nice that you're able to take a measurement of this on the Apple Watch itself within 15 seconds and be able to get that critical number if you are very concerned or you need to keep track of what your blood oxygen level is, especially if you're not feeling well. And it's also automatically gonna do periodic readings kind of in the background, so while you're wearing it throughout the day, if you wear it while you sleep, it's gonna keep track and kind of monitor that for you, so you're able to kind of go back at a later date and see kind of what your blood oxygen level was on certain days and at certain times. Besides the blood oxygen monitor, which is really kind of the big story of the Series 6, it's also got an always-on altimeter, which should be really good if you like to constantly track your elevation if you're doing hiking and stuff like that. It's got a little bit of a brighter screen outdoors, and it's also going to have this new special Apple U1 chip, which is also in the latest iPhones, which is supposed to be this cool chip that makes the phone spatially aware. We're thinking this is probably going to be kind of a cornerstone feature of Apple AirTags, but those have yet to ever be announced, ever see the light of day, so who knows exactly what that chip is for in the Apple Watch at this point. So that's the Apple Watch Series 6. It's got the blood oxygen monitor, it's kind of the latest and greatest Apple Watch you can get, it's the best performing, it comes in a number of different finishes. It is an excellent choice if you're looking to buy an Apple Watch, but it's not the only choice anymore. What if you don't care about a lot of that stuff? What if you just want a small, lightweight Apple Watch on your wrist that you can use for Siri and looking at notifications, taking phone calls, responding to messages, tracking workouts and stuff like that? What if you don't want all the higher end features, and also most importantly, you want to save some money? Well, that is where the Apple Watch SE comes in, and it is also, quite frankly, an excellent and sometimes an even better option than the Apple Watch Series 6. So let's get the big differences out of the way on what's different between the Apple Watch Series 6 and the Apple Watch SE. The SE does not have an always-on display. It doesn't have the blood oxygen monitor or the ability to take an ECG. It doesn't come in any of these cool new colors. It's not available in a stainless steel or titanium finish, and it doesn't have that special spatially aware U1 chip. But that's kind of it. For the most part, spec for spec, besides that big stuff, the Apple Watch SE and the Apple Watch Series 6 share a whole lot of the same DNA, in some cases, the exact same parts. Let's start with display, for example. You're not gonna get the always-on feature like the Series 5, but if you look at the tech spec sheets for these watches, they look like they have almost the exact same identical parts for the display. They're both the same brightness level. They're both 40 or 44 millimeters, same resolution. They're both bright, vibrant, colorful, and should work exactly the same way, whether you're inside, outside, or wherever you are. These are basically the same display, you just don't get the ability to have it always on the SE. It's also available in kind of the three standard Apple Watch colors, space gray, silver, and gold, and only in the aluminum finish in 2 screen sizes, so you cannot do stainless steel or titanium, but there is a cellular option if you want to ditch your phone altogether. You can do that with the SE because there is a cellular option available to purchase as well. And like the display, again, in most cases, the Apple Watch Series 6 and the Apple Watch SE are spec for spec, almost completely identical. They've both got a built-in heart rate monitor, GPS chip, they've got the same speaker and microphone, the same always-on altimeter, also the same water resistance up to 50 meters. They've both got fall detection, they support all the same bands, and they've even both got a built-in compass, if that's important to you. In terms of processor, the SE is running off of the Series 5 processor, the S5, while the Series 6 has the S6. Though I will tell you from personal experience owning a Series 5, this watch is still stupid fast, and I had no qualms or issues or anything like that with the performance of the S5 in this watch. If you go with the SE, you are not going to be disappointed in terms of performance. Also, a little speculation here on my part, Apple does not specify the battery size in these watches, but it seems like they're rated for the same amount of time, and I would venture to guess if these are in fact the same batteries, that the SE might have a little bit better battery life because it doesn't have the always-on display. We have seen that the always-on display with the Series 5 does take a hit to battery life. So again, just speculation on my part, but you might possibly have better battery life on the SE than you would on the Series 6. So the Apple Watch SE kind of takes most of the Series 6's biggest features, at least probably the ones you'd use every day, kind of day in and day out, and brings them from the more premium watch down to something a little bit more affordable, which leads me into the most exciting part about the SE, and that's the price. Of course, the Apple Watch Series 6 is going to vary wildly on price depending on the finish and the band you get and stuff like that, but for the sake of simplicity, it starts at $399 for a 40mm screen, the smaller one, and if you go up to 44mm, that is going to cost $430. But the Apple Watch SE, on the other hand, for the same screen size, same aluminum build, and even in some cases the same bands, starts at $279 for the 40mm screen, and for 44mm, that is $309. Which all leads us back now to this original question, which one should you buy? Is it worth it to upgrade to the Series 6? Or is the SE just a much better watch that gives you most of the features that you'd really want to use every day and also keeps a little bit more money in your pocket? And to try to keep it simple and away from rambling on too much longer, I'll kind of keep it at this. If you are someone who wants some of the most basic and probably most useful Apple Watch features like Siri responding to notifications, tracking workouts, maybe even using Apple's new Fitness Plus, being able to receive notifications and respond to them, then the Apple Watch SE is a stellar option, especially for the price. My only real drawback personally is I really love the always-on display. It's something that you kind of miss once you get used to it. But I'm not sure if it's worth the price difference to jump all the way to the Series 6 if that's the only qualm you have with the watch, especially since you can also get it in a cellular option as well. If that's something important to you, then there's a lot of features and a lot of compelling reasons to choose the SE over the Series 6, especially if those kind of more basic features are what are most important to you and how you use the Apple Watch every day. This seems like an excellent option for kids, for older parents, heck, even someone like me, an Apple enthusiast who always tries to justify why I need the latest and greatest. If it wasn't for the always-on display, I'd even probably consider the SE because that's basically all I really need my watch to do. But if you're on the flip side of that argument, if you view the Apple Watch as more of a premium luxury device, especially if you like those higher end finishes, then the Series 6 is just going to make more sense. If you're very serious about the blood oxygen monitor and the ability to take an ECG, which I know is for many people very, very important, then I think the Series 6 is going to be worth that extra premium price tag to give you access to those features, which again, I know for many people is kind of a non-negotiable. It's one of the reasons why they buy an Apple Watch. It's gonna have the new colors. Like I said, it's gonna come in better finishes that are a little bit more premium. And you're also gonna take advantage of the U1 chip inside, supposedly when AirTags come out. That's only gonna be a Series 6 thing. Again, no U1 chip on the Apple Watch SE if that's super important to you. Though it might be a little bit of a tough decision to make, something you have to kind of think about, especially if you were to buy the aluminum Series 6. If you compare the aluminum Series 6 to the SE, it's a little bit of a hard decision to make. I don't think it's a hard decision if you're looking at the SE versus the Apple Watch Series 3, a model Apple refuses to stop selling, and they are still currently selling right now for a starting price tag of $199. You'll get the newer design with a noticeably bigger display. You'll get fall detection, additional color options, a much, much, much faster processor, the ability to use this new family setup feature. You'll get more storage, 32 gigs in the SE versus 8 on the Series 3, and a cellular option is available on the SE that's not on the Series 3, just to name a few of the big differences. But now is my time in the video to turn the question over to you guys. Which Apple Watch would you buy? Would you save some money and go with the Apple Watch SE because those are the features that matter most to you? Would you splurge a little bit for a more premium finish of the Series 6 because you care about ECG or blood oxygen monitoring? Which one would you choose and why? Let me know in the comments down below, and be sure, of course, to stay tuned to the Apple Circle channel because we will have full coverage on all of these devices coming soon. So subscribe to the channel and thumbs up this video if you enjoyed it and if you have not already. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. I am Robert Rosenfeld from the Apple Circle, and I will see you guys in the next one.